What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Spanko back with Tony, and he is doing a scrap deck profile today. Now, it got some support with Lightning Overdrive with Scrap Raptor, and this is actually brought to you guys by one of the channel members who actually asked for this. So if you guys are a channel member, you guys can ask for any deck profiles you want, and I'll try to prioritize it. So I didn't have scraps, but Tony knows his scrap deck really, really well. So Tony's going to be doing this one. And so shout out to J-Chip who asked for this. And yeah, so you guys can thank him for this one, I guess.
Okay. So first off, shocked anyone would ask for this, but as it turns out, Scrap Raptor isn't for dinos. It's actually for a scrap deck.
Yep.
Because it does scrap things. And as a result of that, you'd think that while it's pretty nutty in things like dinos, the deck is actually even more nutty in scrap itself. We're going to use that destruction effect and the search effect to grab more than just a random single play. Yep. And that lets you do some pretty cool things. So let's begin with the profile.
Yep.
Starting with the monsters, we obviously have the new one, the 3 Scrap Raptor.
Of course.
For those to give context of how this effect works, 2 effects. The first effect is let you target any monster on the field. Not just Scrap Raptor, destroy it, and then you get an extra normal summon of any scrap monster. So in most cases, you would blow itself up, and then you would use its other effect to do stuff.
Yep.
But in this deck, because you can actually pop other scraps, you can trigger the other scrap effects as well and get that additional normal summon. However, you still probably want to pop it because the other effect is if it's destroyed by a card effect, it searches for any non-tuner scrap monster.
Yep.
Which, in most decks, would be a Scrap Chimera, but in this deck, you have more than just Scrap Chimera to search for. And that leads to some pretty nutty combos. This card actually breaks the deck in so many weird ways, just by the fact that 1, it's a level 4 tuner, and 2, it just lets you get into pieces that you could not search before. So yeah, if you see this card, and the fact that it's searchable in multiple different ways, great consistency for the deck. Moving on from there, we have the 2 Scrap Orthros. We're also going to throw in the Goblin as well. All the Scrap Tuner monsters have a common effect where if they're destroyed by a card effect, you can target 1 Scrap monster in your graveyard. In your graveyard and add it back to your hand. So they're all recursion in your hand, which means in a lot of ways, when you blow it up with something like your Scrap Raptor effect, you have the option to then grab back other cards, which let you combo with it as well. In terms of these 2, however, Orthros can special summon himself, or it can only be summoned by special summoning himself from the hand while you control another scrap monster. When it special summons itself that way, it targets a scrap monster on the field and blows it up. You could blow itself up to grab back something from your graveyard to be a quick recursion if you needed to, but in most cases, it's also a nice way to blow up a raptor if your opponent actually attempts to negate its first effect. The Goblin, on the hand, the Goblin is crucial for separate reasons. It does have an effect that prevents it from being destroyed by battle, and it will cause itself to be blown up at the end of the battle phase if it gets attacked. But the main important thing is it's a level 3 tuner, which works really well with some of your level 5s to make level 8 synchro monsters. And the fact that it's a level 3 tuner means you can grab it off of something like Hawk Fibrax to make your combos more consistent. Then we go into the non-tuners. We have our 2 Scrap Chimera. So Scrap Chimera works pretty much the same way with this deck as well. You blow up Scrap Raptor, you search the Chimera, normal Chimera, and then Chimera's effect lets you bring back a scrap monster from your graveyard. And then it lets you do link plays. The only limitation and the reason why you're not playing 3 of this card is because it has that unawkward limitation that you can't use it for anything but a scrap synchro. So if you want to make any normal synchro, you really can't do it. And all the scrap synchros are great if you're going second to break fields, but they really don't do anything if you're going first. So this card's somewhat awkwardly dead if you're not using it to make the links.
I was going to say, going first as well, opening this card is kind of awkward because if you normal summon it without anything in the graveyard, it's not great.
Like, you want to use this card because you have setup. In a lot of ways, the only setup you're going to get is if you resolve some of the tuner effects first. But as a result of that, it's just like one of those cards that you use to get additional monsters on the field.
Yep.
But it's also equally limiting as a result of that.
Yep.
Moving on from there, we're also playing the 2 Scrap Golem. So Scrap Golem, you see in Orcus combos, but Scrap Golem lets you target any scrap monster in your graveyard and special summon it, or level 4 lower scrap monster in your graveyard, so you can't bring itself back, and summon it to either player's field. The either player's field thing lets you do some nutty combos if you're playing other scrap monsters, but in most cases, it's just a reborn. It's a pretty generic reborn effect that can be summoned from the deck with something like your extract monsters. It can also be searched from your Scrap Raptor as well, but the idea is that there's a lot of combos where you can actually get both of them on the field and loop them by bringing them back after using one, doing again.
Because they're not hard ones per turn.
No,
right?
they're not hard ones per turn. They're soft ones per turn, which means that as long as you find a way to put them in the graveyard, put them back again, through something like a Link and Wyvern's effect, you then can use them over and over again to really swarm the field. Reason why you're not playing 3, same reason why you're technically not playing the Chimera, it's kind of bricky. It's level 5, you do have ways to get it out of your hand, which I'll show soon, but it doesn't discount the fact that it's still kind of bricky if you open it.
Yep.
However, I am tempted to play 3. Sometimes you do need 2 for your combos, and then you realize if you draw 1, your combos are less decent. Then we have 2 Plague Spreader. So Plague Spreader, what do we do? If you've ever visited my channel before, you notice that I use Plague Spreader a lot as a 1-card Hack of Fireback engine. The reason that it's in this combo is because Scrap Wyvern, which is your main link play in deck, requires any 2 monsters, including a Scrap monster. So how would Hack of Firebacks get you there? Well, because this can be turned into Hack of Firebacks, and Hack of Firebacks can summon out your Scrap Goblin, and then Goblin and that Hack of Firebacks can then be converted into your Scrap Wyvern, which lets you get into the rest of your deck. And in most of your combos, you're going to need that Scrap Goblin in circulation, so one way or another, you're making the Hack of Firebacks at some point. So getting that Scrap Goblin and then going to the Wyvern from there is just a great setup regardless. Furthermore, which is I thought really neat, it puts back bricks. If you draw into Golem, it puts Golem back in the deck, and that's kind of a big deal.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah. And at worst, it's a normal summon, so you don't at worst, it doesn't really conflict with the deck as much as other things.
Yep.
Then we have something which I don't know why, I feel like I've done this before. We have 2 Chronograph Sorcerer and 1 Time Gazer. So this engine has a few uses. So for those who forget what Chronograph does, because everyone's seen Astrograph more, Chronograph says when a card you control is destroyed by a card effect, you can special summon this card and then special summon 1 card from your hand as well. And then, while it's in the Pendulum scale, you could blow this card up to summon out a Time Gazer Magician, or Time Gazer Magician from your extra deck. So there's a few benefits to this. First off, all your Scrap monsters blow themselves up by card effects.
So it's a free special.
Which triggers out Chronograph.
Yep.
If you were to somehow use it with your Scrap Wyvern, you can go Scrap Wyvern, blow itself up, chaining 2 this Wyvern, search out a Scrap monster, and then special summon it, allowing you to search into your Golem and then drop Golem immediately, putting both monsters on the field. Or alternatively, at worst, if it's in your hand and you don't have that combo, it can blow itself up in the scale to special summon a Time Gazer, put an additional monster, meaning that any other Scrap monster then gets you into your Wyvern, which starts your plays as well. So it's actually a really decent combo starter for your deck that really, again, is not as doesn't really brick, but it also unbricks your hand if you've opened awkward cards already. Finally, we have the Dangerous Tsuchinoko and the 1 Jackalope, more monsters to put on the field so that you can link with any other Scrap to make Wyvern, because Wyvern really starts your plays. You then have the Psyframe Gear Gamma package, really useful because a lot of times, especially when after you've blown up your Wyvern, it will attempt to search and you probably have no monsters on the field, so this is just negation. Once it puts stuff on the field, you now have things to blow up on your own turn going first. And sometimes you do make a Lambda, and then you can negate with that way as well.
It also stops random things like Ash. I'm assuming Scrap, is it Factory? No, not Scrap.
Yeah,
Yard.
Factory as well. So there's combos where you're summoning 3 monsters from the X deck, all of them can be stopped by Ash, and Gamma just destroys that.
Yeah.
And then you're playing the 2 obligatory Droll because we're in that format.
Yep.
We do factor that in. Moving on to the spells, we play Scrap Factory, 3 of them. So Scrap Factory is absolutely nutty, and it's by far one of the favorite reasons why I play Scraps. First off, all Scrap monsters on the field gain 300 attack. Not the biggest deal, still 300 attack, let you edge in for more damage. More important effect, if one of your Scrap monsters would be destroyed by a card effect, you can special summon 1 Scrap monster from your deck. It's also important to note that Scrap Raptor, on top of being able to search for any non-tuner Scrap monster, also searches for Factory as well if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, everyone forgets that because everyone just plays it in Dino.
Yeah, so you play this mostly search in Chimeras and other deck. You can use this to search for a field spell, which means that if you had another way to then blow up a monster, you now have 2 special summons. This card with Wyvern gets you a full field of monsters, and it's a fantastic card. And before, you just didn't have a lot of ways to get into it. And as a result of that, it was bricky when you saw it and didn't have a play. Now you have a way to get into this when you need it through Raptor, and as a result of that, you have a way to combo hard with this card.
Nice.
And we have the 3 Scrapyard. Scrapyard lets you search for any Scrap Tuner monster, i.e. search for Raptor. Yep. Or if you have Raptor, search for Orthro so that your opponent really can't hand trap you.
It's also not a once per turn. It's kind of broken.
Yeah. And then another non-once per turn, 3 Fossil Dig.
Oh yeah, Raptor's a dino.
Yeah, Raptor's a dino. So you have essentially 6 ways into Scrap Raptor on top of 9 cards that get you into Scrap Raptor in your hand. And then on top of that, if you just want to dig even harder because you know you're gonna have to, we also play 3 Pot of Prosperity.
Ooh, okay.
Your X deck is you have a few X deck plays, but you have enough cards to banish either 3 to 6 at certain times. And as a result of that, it means that you can dig harder with this card. It's also nice because the Pendulum monsters can be banished for Prosperity, which means that you can blow these up or link these away later on in your combo and then banish them.
Yeah, because you're not Pendulum summoning them ever.
Yeah, so it just puts more things that you can then banish for this card. So it's either, if you already have combo, this card grabs you something extra if you need it later on.
Nice.
If you don't have combo, you banish the 6, and you're probably going to see something that gets you in Scrap Raptor from there.
Yep.
6 cards is a lot. We have the 1 Terraforming, because Terraforming is searching for the scrap field. And then we have the 3 Dark Ruler no more.
Okay.
So while this deck now can do crazy first turn combos, its true strength still lies in the fact that it can break boards amazing.
Yep.
Like Wyvern blows up cards. All your original scrap synchro monsters, the ones that are like iconic, like Scrap Dragon, a Scrap Twin, blow up and clear the field. So activating this and then just going nuts on your opponent's field with that destruction is just a great way to just like push back on your opponent. And these guys then, they float, as it turns out. In random synchro decks, they don't never do anything, but these can actually float into your remaining monsters, so it actually puts up a decent board while clearing your opponent's board with something like Dark Ruler more to get you that turn in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's, I mean...
And that's the main deck. I think that's 41-ish cards.
Okay.
Yeah. Extra deck, we have the 3 Scrap Wyvern. Scrap Wyvern, again, for those who don't know, you have 2 effects. One, you can special summon back a scrap monster from your graveyard, then destroy 1 card you control. And the other effect is if a scrap monster you control be destroyed, you special summon a scrap from your deck and then destroy a card on the field. So both effects are great. In, again, a non-scrap deck, you have the idea that it just summons out a card from your deck, realistically. But in this deck, it's a reborn for any scrap monster, which you can then blow up another scrap monster that probably will float into a card back to your hand, and then summon out a second scrap monster from your deck, and then blow up something else. Which is now essentially allows you to reborn something like a golem that you may have linked this into, and then summon out a second golem with its other effect by blowing up another scrap monster. Putting 2 live golems onto the field alongside a pop on the field as well. And that's just fantastic.
I also think the second pop is not targeting.
It's non-targeting.
Yeah,
correct.
it's a non-targeting pop, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, so like in certain situations, it's just the idea that like if you're going second with this card, it breaks boards.
Yeah.
Again with Dark Ruler more, extra breaking board. If you're going first with this card, you have to do some awkward combos, but this is the only time where in decks like yours, like Dinos, you have to blow up things that you may have to give up.
Yeah.
This deck, you're blowing up things that you really also benefit from. It's the actual usage of Scrap Wyvern. You have the 1 Lambda for Gamma purposes, the 1 Hack of Fireback, summon out your Goblin. You have the 1 Almirage, which you link away the Plague Spreader into to get into the Hack of Fireback's play.
Oh, so Plague Spreader is actually just a 1-card like.
It's a 1-card scrap combo. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good.
You have the 1 card. You have the 1 Appaloosa, which you make as one of your end boards. You have the 2 Scrap Dragon and the 2 Scrap Twin Dragon. Both of them let you target a card you control X number of things on your opponent's side of the field, bounce up, destroy, spin them. They also have the fact where if they're destroyed by your opponent's cards, they special summon a scrap monster that's not a synchro from your graveyard.
Okay.
So, in worst comes to worst, sometimes I've actually summoned this card, crashed into my, pop the card, then crashed into my opponent to summon out Golem again, and then special summon the Raptor back, made this, and spun 2.
Oh, that's pretty. Oh, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah. We have the 1 Shooting Riser Dragon, which you make sometimes with your Hulk Firebacks, as a level 7 that lets you go into your Dawn Dragster on your opponent's turn. You have the 1 Warlord Savage, which you can make using your Golem plus a Goblin, which is why the Goblin is really important. And you have the 1 Shen Shen as the level 9 that you make going first, because sometimes you just don't want to make Scrap Dragon going first.
That makes sense.
And Banishing the Field, still pretty good.
Pretty powerful.
Yeah. So, let's see if I could do like I'd have to do a test hand for this, because some of the hands are pretty fluidly.
Okay, so
but I think we do have a I have a combo. I believe it's just Scrap Raptor and Scrap Factory.
All right.
Again, if you open another scrap play, if you open Chimera, it's the same thing, but the only difference is you have to get Factory.
Yep.
But the idea behind this combo is that you open these 2. What we can do is we're going to activate the field spell, then normal summon the Raptor.
Yep.
When we activate Raptor's effect, blow itself up. This will go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. It really doesn't matter if you do it the same way.
Yeah.
And you're going to summon out the Golem from your deck, and then add your Chimera. From there, you're going to activate Golem's effect, special summon back the Raptor. You're going to link both of them away. Summon out the Raptor.
Or the
Wyvern.
Yeah.
You're then going to normal summon with the additional normal summon off of your Raptor, your Chimera, and then use Chimera's effect to bring back the Raptor.
Raptor giving an extra normal summon is actually insane.
It's huge.
It's so insane.
You're then going to activate the Raptor, the Wyvern effect, summon back the Golem, and then you're going to blow up the Raptor instead. You can actually blow up the Wyvern instead. The Wyvern's kind of just sitting around at this point.
Yeah.
You're then going to trigger the effect of the second effect of Wyvern to summon out your second Golem. And then you're going to blow up the field spell because you've already used it.
Yep.
From there, you're then going to link these 2 away.
Oh, you still have 2 Golem specials.
To make your Hulk Firebacks. Hulk Firebacks on summon will then summon out a level 3 or lower tuner, which summon out your Goblin. Going to activate the effect of your Golem. Bring back a Raptor. You're then going to link these 3 away.
And that's the Golem you use the effect, by the way.
Actually, given the situation at hand, you could actually use this effect to bring back the other monster and then make a 4 Material Appaloosa if you really wanted to.
You mean you use the other golems effect as well?
Yeah.
So you use both golems here.
Yep.
Okay.
You
So
use both golems to make a 4 material Appaloosa. And then you use these two
to make Savage.
Make Savage. Savage will then re-equip, I guess fittingly, because why not? A Scrap Wyvern. So you now end up with a 4 negate Appaloosa and a Savage Dragon off of 2 cards.
Oh, it's 2 cards. That's pretty good, actually.
Then I think just for the sake of it, I will do a test hand to show you what I can do.
Okay.
So I guess we'll get back to you once I power shuffle this deck.
All right.
A few moments later.
All right, Tony, you done shuffling?
Yep.
All right, let's go.
Okay, let's see what we got here. We have the 1 Scrapyard. So cool, we got the Raptor. Cool.
Automatically.
The Chimera. Wow. So we got Raptor and we have something else. We have the 1 Chronograph. So now we have that kind of combo. And we have
I'm actually happy you saw the chronograph because I want to see how this works.
We got the Gamma too. So it's like this Scrapyard's resolving. And then we got the Orthros. Wow, this is actually a pretty loaded hand. Let's see what we can do with this. Okay.
I feel like you just pop off here, no?
Yeah, we're gonna activate the Scrapyard and we're gonna use it to grab the Raptor. We're gonna normal the Raptor and we're going to use Raptor's effect and blow itself up.
Okay.
The way you want to do this chain link with your chronograph now is you're gonna go chain link chronograph, chain link to Raptor.
So the nice thing, So the nice thing here too is if they ash your Scrapyard or they're trying to stop the chronograph on the summon or the Raptor, I mean.
Yeah, because Raptor's chaining 2 now. Your opponent can technically ash this.
Yeah,
and it's a bait. But if they ash this, I gamma them.
Yeah, you still have the Gamma here. That's huge. Okay.
Yeah. But let's say they just don't have hand traps because we're just good like that. Okay. We're going to first resolve our Scrap Raptor, grabbing into our Golem. Then Chronograph's going to resolve, special summoning itself, and then special summoning out the Golem.
Okay.
Pretty great, huh? From there, we're going to activate that Golem effect, special summon out the Raptor. We're then going to link both of these away to summon out Scrap Wyvern.
Okay.
We're then going to normal summon out the Chimera and use Chimera's effects, summon back the Raptor.
Yep.
We're then going to use that Orthos effect, special summoning onto the field, and then using Orthos effect, we're going to blow up that Chimera. That is actually going to be relevant. We're then going to activate the Wyvern effect.
Okay.
Wyvern effect is then going to summon out the Golem and then blow up a card I control. I'm going to blow up the Orthros.
Okay.
From there to now, in the given situation where we now can't gamma, we're going to go Chainlink 1 Wyvern effect special from deck, Chainlink 2 Orthos effect to add back your Chimera.
Oh, okay.
And that way your opponent still can't ash you. But then from there, we're going to summon out the second Golem, and then let's blow up this Chronograph because no one cares about it.
Yep.
Now we once again have that cool field of the same thing as we did before. We're going to link these 2 away, since we can, to make out our Haka-Fibrax.
Yep.
And then we're going to use Haka-Fibrax effect, summon out our Goblin. We're going to use one of the Golem's effects, summon back something like a Orthos, I guess. Orthos can be special summoned from the graveyard once it's been special summoned once. It is a semi-Nomi monster that way.
Okay, okay.
I want to link all these 4 monsters away to once again make
Apollo?
an Appaloosa.
Nice.
Alternatively, though, because we do have that kind of field, we can do something a little different as well.
You still have the second Golem summon,
Yeah.
no?
So what we can do instead is we're going to synchro these 2 away, actually, and just make the Savage.
Yep.
Going to use Savage, equip the Wyvern. From there, we're then going to activate the other Golem effect.
Yep.
And let's just say we bring back a Scrap Goblin. Link these 2 away into a Siphon Gear Lambda.
Oh, because then now we have Gamma live still.
Yes. And then we pass turn to our opponent. So on our opponent's turn, we have a live Destruction negate instead of the Appaloosa negate with our Gamma. And this is nice because if we drop the Gamma here, and this is actually somewhat indicative, if your opponent's going to activate a monster effect, we're going to Gamma here, and that's going to be pretty great. And then from there, we're going to activate the Haka-Fibrax effect, banishing it.
So this is all on your opponent's turn at this point.
Yep.
So you have a Savage, you have a Lambda, and you have the Hulk, and then you're going to Gamma on your opponent's turn because they're going to obviously activate an effect somewhere.
Right? And then we're going to summon out that Shooting Riser.
Yep.
Shooting Riser effect is going to activate, and we're going to send a level 6, like another Chronograph Sorcerer, to the graveyard to make this a level 1.
Yep.
We're then going to activate the effect of this effect and synchro these 2 away. Make a Don Draxler.
Okay, so then I get Don Draxler negate.
Now we have a Spell Negate and another Omni Negate. We still have the Golem, which should be intact, and the Golem is going to provide something in the next turn. If our opponent, this creates essentially another pressure, and ironically enough, if your opponent doesn't out the Lambda and this Gamma gets banished, you then add another Gamma.
Yeah, on top of that, you also have Chimera for follow-up for next turn.
Yeah, you do have the Chimera in hand as well, which allows you essentially to make another Wyvern. So you both not only have the Scrap Golem, you also have the Scrap Chimera in hand. You have the Negate and search out this, and you still have 2 Omni Negates your opponent has to out.
Oh, one Omni negate, 1 spell trap.
Yeah, and that's just peachy for a hand that pretty much is just rainbow out of nowhere, and works pretty well through any hand trap.
Yeah, I mean, that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, especially with that Gamma, you were playing through every hand trap there.
Yeah,
And
even in
with
situations where I wasn't
You had chain
able
links.
to use Gamma in that case.
Yeah, because you had chain links and it wasn't going to go through. That's pretty good.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Tony, for the deck profile. I appreciate it. I'm pretty sure J-Chip appreciates it because he wanted to see this. And then anyone else who's on the channel obviously appreciates you. If you guys haven't already, go check out YGO Tony. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description below, like always. Tony, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And with that, Spanko and Tony signing out. Peace.
Get up, we want you to get on your feet.